Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. Yes, this is a very late trade ranking. Um, I feel like every single AFL YouTuber's probably got this out. And yeah, this is just my thoughts on every single trade. So we got a top 5 caliber, we got immediate impact, best 22, handy top up player and fringe player. So yeah, we'll get straight into it. We'll do in random order. Starting with Ben Long. Ben Long, I reckon he'll be a best 22 player for the Suns. I mean, their defense stocks are really poor. I mean, he can play forward as well, just in case. But as soon as they get their defender stocks back, I feel like it might be the end of Ben Long and his career, and he might drop to even a fringe player. But for the next season, I reckon he'll be a best 22 player. Same with Jack Bowes. Chris Scott's come out and said that he will be a best 22 player. I'm not 100% sure about this, but with Joel Selwood's retirement, he'll definitely be in the emergencies, but I reckon he'll be a best 22 player. Lockie Hunter is a bit of a hard one for Melbourne, bit of a winger. I don't see him actually getting a position on the field, but I can see him getting a position on the bench. So again, I reckon he'll be a best 22 player. I mean, I can see him, turning into a fringe player in future years, with the development of Jordan. But they'll probably just chuck Brayshaw back, just in case. And yeah, Toby Bedford as well. He's another one that I reckon in his first season, just like Ben Long, he'll be a best 22 player. Especially seeming they need to replace Bobby Hill. I reckon he'll be a best 22 player. Jaden Hunt could be a best 22 player, but because it's for West Coast, I'd say an immediate impact. Because West Coast lack a good running halfback, and I reckon they've come out with this deal quite high. And I reckon it'll be very good, seeing how well he played at Optus Stadium. In recent years, I've seen him play quite well at that ground. So yeah, hopefully it's a good start to his career. Zane Cordy, in my opinion, he's going to be a handy top-up player. Look, if there's any defender that goes out, you'd expect him or Highmore to probably come in. And I doubt they'd use him as a medical sub either, so he's definitely not going to be a best 22 player. Liam Jones, look, this is really hard, assuming we haven't really seen him play that much, but I reckon he'll be a best 22 player at the Bulldogs, because they really need the defender stocks. Sure, they do have decent players like Alex Keith and Ryan Gardner. In my opinion, Liam Jones is probably better than them both, but we'll just have to wait and see. Dan McStay, in my opinion, he'll be a best 22 player for the Pies. I don't think he's going to do much. I don't think he's going to, underperform. I reckon he'll probably just do what most people expect, kick 2 goals a game maybe, and be a bit of a handy help with my check. Our first top 5 caliber player, and this could be a bit biased, is Tom Mitchell. Tom Mitchell's up here because the Pies need a player to get the possessions off to players like Josh Dacos and Jack Crisp. And we didn't have any players this season that could do that. And we really lacked someone. And we've actually managed to get Tom Mitchell here, which will replace that position. And who knows, maybe force someone out of the side. It's going to be a very stacked Collingwood lineup next season. And yeah, it'll be pretty hard for any other players to get in. Oliver Henry, look, I reckon he'll be a handy top-up player. He wasn't getting a game at the Pies, so I don't see him getting a game at the Cats. But it would be great for him to get to his brother, and who knows, maybe in another 2 years' time or 3 years' time, we might see him actually playing quite well. Will Setterfield, look, if it was any other club, I don't think he'd get a game because every club has a stacked wingman. Sure, the Bombers may have a lot of wings players. Well, they don't now with Brendan Ham being delisted. I reckon he'll be a best 22 player, in my opinion. And that's mainly because I feel like he's better than some of the other Essendon wingers, like Braden Ham, for example, and I reckon he can get a game. Same with same with Jagger O'Meara. I reckon he might be able to get a game at the Dockers, even though they've got a pretty stacked midfield. I reckon he'll still be able to get a game and maybe even push Fife out of the midfield permanently. It'd be interesting to see that. He may go out on the wing as well because they did lose Blake Acres, who I think will be an immediate impact player for the Blues. The Blues, they have wing options. They can have a stacked midfield at times and rotate wingers like Fisher and O'Brien. I've heard that Kennedy and Chera go out there sometimes, but I reckon Blake Acres is going to be that number one pick for the wing, and it'll be great to see him get more midfield time than forward time, let's say, because it should allow Kennedy to go forward a lot as well. Brodie Grundy, look, if it was any other team, I'd put him in immediate impact or top 5 caliber. In fact, no, I still put him in immediate impact. He's Brodie Grundy. He's even if he's injured or playing injured, he's probably gonna force Gawn forward or defence. It doesn't matter. He's that good of a player, and yeah, I still think he's got a lot left in him. Josh Shackey, I don't know why Melbourne picked him up. He's literally going to replace Sam Wiedemann. He is a fringe player, no doubt about it. Bobby Hill, in my opinion, I reckon he'll be an immediate impact player. Lots of people put him in handy top-up player, best 22. I reckon he's going to go to immediate impact. Could be a bit biased, yes, but I still think he's probably better than Ash Johnson. And Ash Johnson's probably going to miss out because of this. Billy Frampton, he is nearly a fringe player. Look, he's better than Cordy, though. Handy top-up player, I'd say. For the Pies, say Moore goes down, or because we don't have Magin anymore, he'd definitely be the replacement. Jason Horne-Francis. Everyone's talking about, Port Adelaide could be great because they got the number 1 draft pick. This guy's so overrated. I reckon he'll just be a best 22 player. I reckon he could get dropped quite a bit as well. He's not going to make Port Adelaide change. I can see Port Adelaide being a bottom 4 side next season. I'm sorry to hurt any fans. Sure, he'll probably get midfield time, and I reckon he'll be better than this year, but still, I just don't see Port Adelaide doing much next season. And Tanner Bruin, look, it's hard. I reckon I'm going to put him in best 22 and move Bose down to handy top-up player, despite what Chris Scott thinks, because Tanner Bruin's a better player, and I reckon he'll be able to crack in for a Joel Selwood replacement over Jack Bose, who can play pretty much any position in the ground. So he's a very, very handy top-up player. Same with Sam Wiedemann. I reckon he's probably a handy top-up player, maybe a best 22 player, but I doubt it at this point. Same with Josh Corbett, really. He's going to be a handy top-up player for the Dockers. I don't think he's going to do much. Look, I think he's ahead of Tracy, but behind Sturt, in my opinion. Luke Jackson is a top 5 caliber player because Fremantle are going to be playing him 100% every single game. He's guaranteed a spot in that forward ruck type position with the absence of Rory Lobb. Speaking of Rory Lobb, lots of people put him up in immediate impact, top 5 caliber player or best 22. Look, at this point, I don't know what the Dogs are going to do with him. He gets a game over Bruce, though. Does he get a game over Ugle-Hagan? I say they play Ugle-Hagan as a third man and play Lobb and Norton. So I'd say Lobb's probably our best 22 player. Whether that's on the bench or on the ground, I don't know yet, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess. Josh Dunkley is the best player of the trade period. By far, I think everyone can agree. The Lions are going to be huge next season and possibly pushing for yet another flag. Aaron Francis, look, I mean, if he's going in fringe, he reminds me so much of Zane Cordy. If he's going in fringe, then Zane Cordy's going in fringe as well. I just don't see Aaron Francis getting a game, despite what John Longmire said by saying, oh, I can see this man being a best 26 player. And I don't think he's wrong there. I think he's probably an emergency. I mean, he's a handy swingman, same with Cordy, but I reckon he'll be fringe, even fringier than Shaki, I reckon. Griffin Logue, lots of people haven't said much about him, but I reckon he's going to be an immediate impact player for the Kangaroos. They just have such a shit side that Griffin Logue has to go in there. And same with Darcy Tucker. I know, you're crazy. Darcy Tucker's got to go behind here, yes. I'd say Darcy Tucker is probably one of the worst players on this list, but because he's playing for such a shit side, he's guaranteed to get a game, despite how shit he is. Yeah, we saw that didn't happen with Taron Thomas, and Clarkson might be a bit more bolder to make a harsh move, but I still don't see Darcy Tucker falling out of that list. I reckon he can make an immediate impact. Lloyd Meg, he's definitely a best 22 player. Look, I reckon he's behind Reeves, but he's still going to do a bit of a ruck combo with him. Bit unfortunate for Max Lynch, though. Cooper Stevens, mate, fringe player. I had absolutely no idea he wanted to leave until he was involved in a random freeway trade. I don't know if the Cats actually wanted to get rid of him or not, but in my opinion, I reckon he'll be a fringe player. Tim Taranto, probably the second best player of the trade period. The Tigers came out very, very well. Got to put Jacob Hopper up in median impact as well, because the Tigers came out with two brilliant mids and some draft picks in exchange for some high draft picks. So I reckon they did very, very well, the Tigers. I know Isaac Rankin is probably a best 22 player, but because he's so crafty, and because I reckon he'll wear, well, Frampton did leave, so he might wear number 22, but I'd love to see him wearing Eddie Betts' old number. He's going to be so fun to watch in showdowns, and in my opinion, I think he's a top 5 caliber player from this trade period. Jack Gunston, immediate impact. Same with Carl Amon. Two pretty big players that I reckon will get games and make impacts for their clubs. Junior Rioli, though. What do I do with Junior Rioli? I left him to last for a reason. I have absolutely no idea if he's going to get a game or not. If Horne-Francis is getting a game and Setterfield's getting a game, I reckon Junior Rioli's got to get a game. Probably most likely on the bench. Is he had a Fantasia? I'm not sure. I'm not a Port Adelaide fan. But I reckon he'll be a best 22 player for now. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Sorry it was a bit late, but yeah, hope you enjoyed.